What do you guys think about feminism, like in your guys' opinion?
What is feminism? Why don't you tell us what you think that is?
It's a great counter.
I would say a feminist would be the kind of new generational woman, the kind of feminist movement that you're seeing now, because there's been a lot of feminist movements in history. I would say the new feminist movement now, I mean, obviously there's extremities of it, but, you know, women that are pro-life, for example, women that think that, you know, whatever wage gap is going on needs to be evened out, women, just that kind of thing. So what are your guys' opinions on that, on modernized, like, feminism?
Should I go first? Do
Yeah.
you guys want?
Go for it.
So my sense of what feminism is, and you always hear different definitions, and it seems to always shift. Feminism is Tanner. Oh, okay, he's just going to the bathroom. So feminism is a women's advocacy movement. It's not an equality movement. Feminism has always been about women's advocacy. They'll fight for equality only where that equality would stand to benefit women. If no benefit can be reaped, feminists will not fight for it. That's my sense of feminism. It's basically trying to secure preferential treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an egalitarian. I believe in equality, but I just cannot be a feminist because the core tenet of feminist is the patriarchy theory. Mm-hmm. And also feminism is just clearly anti-male. Oh. It's clearly anti-male in its ideology.
Yeah.
Well, I also just think that like the actual definition of feminism is just that like you believe that women and men should have the same rights. Like I don't think like behind all the other stuff, like if you're just looking at the definition of the word, like that's what I believe it is. It's not that I believe women should be superior to men. I just think that they should be equal.
So if that's how we're defining it, I like that definition. The word feminism though has so much stuff attached to it, like that we're straight white males trying to oppress women with our opinions, and that we're evil, and we are the patriarchy embodied.
You're a pretty evil guy.
You mean that?
You're pretty evil. No, I'm kidding.
Bro.
What time is it?
I have places to be, bro. Sorry.
It is getting late. We have been. It's 10. We should.
Bruh. Okay. Lauren, she's getting a little angry. I'm sorry.
I'm not getting angry. I'm just like I just don't. This isn't like productive. Like you're not going to change my opinion. I'm not going to change yours. Like there's no point.
I'm an egalitarian.
There's differences between us that we're never going to be able to understand. Like for instance, so I'm the only boy like in my family. I have a older sister and a younger sister that I love a lot, and you know they're both very beautiful, and they've expressed how they have come across situations where like they couldn't walk down like Hollywood Boulevard or something like that without feeling like afraid and getting catcalled and then like getting pursued super aggressively, and we're like they turn them down and then it turns aggressive and they're like afraid. I will never be able to understand that. Like I won't. Just there's a lot of things that you guys will not be able to understand as men that we deal with, and that's just it's yin and yang. That just is what it is. You know what
also,
I mean?
I just want to be really clear. It's totally okay for you guys to disagree with us. That's totally fine. It's encouraged. There's no ill will towards you guys or anything. We're just, this is content. We're just having a debate. That's how I view it. Like,
yeah, honestly, like I like that's kind of what I just said. Like I do think that like we just have different viewpoints. Like I respect some of your viewpoints, and I'm sure you respect some of mine. But like, I just think like the point of this conversation, I feel like I'm just getting frustrated because I feel like there's certain blockades that like I will never understand and you will never understand.
It's just we all have different life experiences. Every single one of us has a different upbringing. We have different parents, different everything. And so, I mean, that's the thing about arguments. It's hard to see the other side when you were raised a certain way. You guys were raised a certain way. We're different genders. We have different struggles. So, I mean, we're not invalidating your guys' struggles and you guys aren't invalidating ours. So I think we can reach the middle ground of maybe not agreeing, but accepting your guys' opinions.
Let me just respond to that. Like, I feel like we're saying that we have different opinions because we're different genders and that we would never understand, where you guys are coming from. And it's a valid point. I would be curious to hear a conversation between you guys and all of the women out there that disagree with modern feminism, because there's a lot of them, and they do have the same lived experiences as you guys, and they have a lot of arguments against modern feminism and a lot of the points that you guys have raised. I think that would be an interesting conversation.
But there's a lot of people that disagree with the points that you've raised as well. There's always going to be people that disagree.
Yeah,
so.
the reason I said it is because you're kind of implying that you guys were implying we're disagreeing because we're a different gender with different lived experiences, and I'm saying it's not about that. Like,
well, it is about that. I mean, you're disagreeing with us because you're disagreeing with us, and we're disagreeing with you because we're different. Like, we have different views.
I want to just ask,
right?
do you guys, just show of hands, do you identify as a feminist?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Show of hands.
Does this apply to you guys?
Okay.
Too?
Can it,
Like, why aren't you guys raising your
what
hand?
their answer would be.
I don't disagree with a lot of modern feminism.
I'm not holding.
The
I'm not.
definition of the word.
The what?
The definition of the
The
word
definition
that
you
men and women should have
provided?
equal rights. Yeah.
But
I
in
agree with
practice, it's totally something different. What would you guys be open to me challenging you to change your identity? You identifying from a feminist to an egalitarian?
Explain what an egalitarian is in
Someone
more
who believes
detail.
in equality.
That's what feminism is.
But in practice, it's something that's very different. And the core tenet of feminism is the patriarchy theory, which
I agree with the patriarchy
she
theory.
agrees with patriarchy.
Is there like a word, like, is there like a masculinism? Is that like a thing, like masculinism?
Or like
Masculinity.
There's men's rights advocacy.
Wait, is there a word for being like the oppression of men? Like, is that a word?
It's called.
I mean, there's a
Oh,
there's
are
a
you asking if
matriarchy.
there's like an opposite equivalent to feminism?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's
because I was
I
going to
wouldn't know
argue.
the word for it.
Because I was going to argue that the reason that the word exists is because like women have struggled because they were women. So I think that isn't like the same thing. It should be synonymous with the word egalitarian. Like, but I just obviously people have taken it too far. But like, I'm just saying that's why it exists.
Yeah, I would say that almost the opposite equivalent is like the positive masculinity movement.
Wait, what is it called?
Andrew
It's just
Tate.
kind of generally.
Literally.
What'd you say?
What do we think
Andrew
about
Tate.
Andrew Tate, guys?
Well, he's
No,
like one of the
that's-
people in it. Some people call it the manosphere, but like there's a movement of positive masculinity, and it's focused less though on like fighting oppression and more on bringing like the best possible, healthiest masculinity into the world to help as many people as
I
possible.
think that's a great movement. Like, I think that men sure struggles. Like,
Healthy
like,
masculinity,
Obviously,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there's a huge reason why you think women are more emotional than men. It's because women have been more like taught to accept that they're emotional and like acknowledge and deal with their emotions. But I also think it's because
It's a hormonal
that men.
thing. It's a
Okay,
hormonal-
it's not just hormonal.
It is.
Okay, it's not only
It is.
hormonal. Obviously, there's exceptions. Like, there's some like non-emotional women. There's some like, extremely emotional men. I'm saying that like I think that
Society.
men like have been conditioned to not like have emotions, and I think that is detrimental and contributes to toxic masculinity.
I understand.
No such thing.
I understand. I 100%.
There's just toxic people. Is there toxic femininity?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
I just think that there's toxic people. Why gender it? Why do we have to gender everything? Can't we
Because
just
the reason why
someone
it's
can
called
be
toxic masculinity
Let me ask:
is because
is there toxic blackness?
what the fuck?
No. But you see where I'm going with that. It would be. I'm not saying I want to make something clear. I'm not saying there is, but you see like how attaching the term toxic to that can almost be in the same way that would be a racist thing to say. It's a sexist thing to say that there's toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. I just think people are toxic. Toxicity knows no gender. That's
think-
my take.
Okay, I respect that take, but I think that the reason why we attach masculinity onto toxic is because there's no shortage of things that could be toxic. I'm just saying that by attributing, like by saying toxic masculinity versus just saying toxic, it kind of acknowledges that the reason for this toxicity, this certain type of toxicity, is because of the way of like more masculine, I guess, areas, like the reason by how men were shaped. You know, it's not just by
How we
like
were
people
shaped.
being toxic. It's just saying that like there's a reason why it's called toxic masculinity versus just saying it was toxic.
What are some examples of toxic masculinity?
like calling guys simps when they're like into their girlfriends, like things like that, you know?
The simp
Simp
term
thing
is a
is-
useful term
Yeah.
at times. Okay, if you're calling a dude a simp,
What
for
about
whatever
calling a
he's
guy a
into-
pussy when
Okay.
he's crying?
There's a lot of women that want to like clearly step all over men right? And then there's a lot of men that clearly just want to take advantage of women. Those are the far reaches of both sides. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, most people don't fall within those categories, but they're out there and they get the most attention, mostly because of how people digest most communication is via social media. And it's not the moderate views of most people that are going to get the most attention. It's going to be the people that are on the far reaches, because that's going to drive the most attention, the most clickbait, the most hate and whatnot. There's a middle ground. Of course, there's going to be those crazy feminists that are out there that they don't want equality. They only want superiority, and that's it. There's also the same can be said about men. You know what I mean? They're out there. The vast majority of people aren't going to fall in those categories, though. It's just not going to happen.
You guys also pinned the whole like simps and pussy thing on toxic masculinity, kind of. There's a shitload of girls who call dudes simps, and there's a shitload of girls who call dudes pussies too.
I know, but I can't speak on behalf of like every other woman that's existed. I'm just saying from like a general point of view. Like, I think that like men have been conditioned to think that like showing emotion is like a sign of weakness.
That does happen. We men and women are temperamentally different, though. Like, we have different temperaments. And when I mentioned this came down to hormones earlier, you guys laughed, but like, and I'm not sure why you guys laughed, but this is like a really important thing. Like, the dominant hormone in men is testosterone, and the dominant hormones in women are estrogen and progesterone. Okay, those change how your brain processes emotion. Right? When a man has healthy testosterone levels, he's not prone to chaotic mood swings and having his mood all over the place. When women are going through a pregnancy or when they're going through different phases of their cycle, your guys' emotions can go all over the place. All of you guys know this, okay? This is just a part of nature. It's just how things naturally work. It's not a bad thing, but this is why a lot of women lean on their men in their relationships to be like a grounding, stabilizing force for them when they feel like a lot of emotion, because men generally have more stable emotions. And it's not as much because of conditioning, but conditioning comes into it. It's because of what's happening in our bodies.
I'm sure that some,
Wait, did you want to say something to that?
I said, I think I just laughed because like, I think it's erroneous to attribute all of like the emotion, like the discrepancy of emotions between men and women just to hormones. Like, I think obviously like, yes, that's a part of it.
How big of an effect hormones have on our
hormones.
psychology?
I know. Okay, obviously I know that women like are more prone to being hormonal in like the emotional sense, but I also think that a factor of it is because men aren't like conditioned to express how they feel.
That's part of it for sure.
That is part of it, and a lot of men have like super low testosterone now, like way less than ever. Hell, some dudes will probably call me simps like on here just for saying this, but I will say like that women's innate ability to lean on their emotions and be more emotional, that's what makes women beautiful. And like their ability to do that and to have those perspectives from their emotions is a good thing.
We love
just
it.
as
It's awesome.
Men who are able to lead from their frame, that is a good thing too. Again, it's the yin and the yang. Like, men and women are made to complement one another. Like, we are superior and inferior to one another in different ways for good reason.
I agree.
I like that. I really like that. I like that analogy. I like the yin and yang. The men are superior in some ways, women are superior in some ways. We offer different things.
That's
like, I'm a very
what it is.
unempathetic person.
Did you say unempathetic?
Yeah, for a lot of the times. But for instance, like, who I'm with right now, she's very empathetic. Mm-hmm. And I guess we complement each other in that way.
Wait, can you talk about her? Can you talk about your situation? We've been having a heated debate. I feel like it's kind of a...
Yeah, what do you want to know?
We need some lightness.
Okay.
Fuck.
You know, the whole situation with the thing, and then, the thing, can you talk about it?
Do you want
Can you just give us a quick story?
No, I mean, not really, but
okay.
then...
So
yeah. Okay.
And let me just say with what we were saying before, like, I know it's like heinous for dudes like to stand against feminism or whatever.
No, I'm not.
I know it's like heinous for us to like stand against it, but one of the reasons why I'm like not totally in support of everything that comes with feminism is because like there's this idea that the only differences between men and women are because of like cultural conditioning. and that men and women are basically equal in how we function and all this stuff, but culture conditions us to be manly or to be womanly. I think God created men and women, like Tanner was saying, to complement one another. And I think that feminist narrative of like, it's all cultural conditioning, I think that like overlooks like some of the most beautiful aspects of our humanity, you know?
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that just by like categorizing all feminists into that label, it kind of like gets rid of the ones that are actually like rational, like hopefully like part of us are being, you know?
I got a question. So feminism is about equality, right?
Yeah.
So what is a way in which feminism has advocated for men?
Well, I mean, they like agree that men should be able to like express their emotions without shame.
Okay, that seems fairly minor.
Yeah.
What do you mean express your emotions, though? Can you elaborate on that? And who do you think that men should explain their emotions to?
I mean, just like as a general way of saying like they're allowed to have emotions and they don't always have to be like solemn.
Okay, I will say this, right? So, for instance, right now, like with my relationship, I think that a man, for the most part, should be like a rock in a relationship and should be, extremely strong and lead, right? And he shouldn't burden the woman that he is with his like emotions, his heavy emotions. I'll say it like outright right now. Chase is one of my best friends. Like, I've cried to him and been like, hey, this is what's going on in my life, and this fucking sucks. This is the worst thing I've ever gone through my entire life. And I'll express those emotions, like, with him and go to him to help, be like, hey, man, I need help with this, right? Like, this fucking sucks. I'm not going to go to a woman that I'm with and be like, hey, this is the hardest thing I ever deal with, and I don't know if I can do this, because they're going to lose confidence within me. And they're probably just in their innate being, they're going to lose confidence and they're not going to trust me as much, versus like I can go to strong men that I have in my life that I'm super grateful that I have and talk to them about what's going on. You guys might not understand that, and that's okay.
Chicks say that they want men to express their emotions, but when men express their emotions in moments of weakness, it causes chicks to break up with dudes. It's happened a million times.
So it's always bad.
It's always bad. But this has been a very heavy conversation. I feel like
we should talk about body count.
No, we should not.
We should get 621 guy. I bet you can't fight.